Special guest joining us this morning, Chairman State Life Insurance, Janab Shoaib Javed Hussain Saab joins us today. So looking back at your career, needless to say that it's come with its own set of struggles, own set of hurdles, points of breakdown perhaps. Can you recollect one or two where you felt like, I have no idea what I'm doing?
Well, just yesterday, I'd say. But no, on a more serious note, taking on the actuarial profession, it has about, you have to pass 15 exams, and they're all self-study, more or less. Yeah. So what you really are doing is you're studying in the evenings, and in the mornings you're working, so you're doing your 9 to 5. So, as we were talking earlier, I really started on this career right after A-levels in Karachi with the local actuarial consultancy. So my schedule over there used to be going to work, 9 to 6 or so, then go to the Karachi Gymkhana library and work there, study on your own from 7 to 10, come home, eat, sleep. And that went on for a year and a half or so. So you need that discipline. And then the same thing continued when I was in London working with HSBC or EY. I was at EY when I completed my fellowship. So that discipline and sticking through it, you miss out. You're in your early 20s. You want to be doing a lot of other things other than just sitting in a library and just working through.
Yeah, right.
And stacked on a solo basis. You don't have a study group or anything. So that was definitely a challenge where you need perseverance and you need that discipline. So that was something to work through. And then otherwise, I would say there's been, the focus has been there, and with the focus, the struggle. But then as long as I guess it was just that thing we were talking about earlier, that how do I route myself back into Pakistan to deliver something, and that would have been the driving force to keep working and improving your own skill set.
But how did you even route back to discipline? Because you said it was 20, 21? You were 19, 20?
Yeah, 19, 20 years old.
So two-pronged question. Hey, what did you do when you did have some time off? I'm curious. Smiles. and how did you reroute yourself into that discipline at that age?
Yeah, that is difficult. That is a challenge because, when you're 18 or 19, finishing up A-levels, and you decide not to do an undergraduate, people, even your parents, kind of think, have you lost your mind? Because, there's a route to follow. I guess it's self-belief. I'm not going to say that there was something great. It was just about taking it, sometimes you have to live in the moment. Sometimes you have to back yourself. Okay, I can do this, and it's a decision that I'm taking, so then I will flow through it. And I think the word really is courage. That you have to believe that, yes, I can do this, and keep your eyes set on the goal. So the discipline was all about knowing where the goal is, and that I need to get there somehow. And then, your day-to-day then goes through. So I'm not the only one who's done this. There are at least 20 other people in Pakistan.
Do you realize you're the youngest chairman?
Yes, I have been told that. I haven't checked everybody's date of birth, but yes, I've been told that, yes.
How is that? That discipline and that courage, yes, it's there, but it's not something that easy to attain at that age. I wouldn't say unattainable, but it's almost like what doesn't make sense kind of thing, because what did you do when you did have some time off?
So one of the things is, on a personal level, at that age, when your friends are in uni and they come back from summer holidays, the stories the stories they tell and the stories you have to tell, they're worlds apart. So what you listen, like I said, the idea is, I think it's a lot about upbringing. It's a lot about the atmosphere at home. I think professionalism was always pushed within our home, and it was always valued, education and professionalism. So that really, with my parents, so my mom and my dad, so that it really became the point of, okay, this is something that is natural, to work harder, to be focused, to have that professional outview. And I think that's what it was. There's no secret pill to it.
No.
It's just self-belief, really.
Something you sort of said very sort of casually in conversations. I didn't do an undergrad, and you moved on. And I know people would have, what? You didn't do an undergrad?
I did not do an undergrad. I went straight from a master's. So this is a fun story. You see, what basically happened was, when I finished my A-levels, and universities abroad are expensive, so I had a conversation with my parents and said, hey, this is expensive, go for a local university, even though I had admissions in a few UK universities at the time. And then, at that time, the boom in Pakistan was BBA and all of that, and that really wasn't, that really wasn't driving me. The focus and the initiative wasn't really taking me on that route. So I was doing an internship with this consultancy, and they said, hey, here's another route if you want, which is we will pay you a stipend. My first ever pay was 4,000 rupees, and you work with us, and we will support you in your study materials. So we pay for your exams and your study materials, and then it's self-study and you pass your exams. And I thought, well, why not try it out? So I did. And once I did that for 2 years, the 15 exams in total, I think in 2 years I did 7 or 9 exams. And I got lucky in my naivety. I think that's another word, together with courage, that I was looking at this, I was reading this magazine, the professional magazine, and Cass Business School, now it's Bayes Business School. They had an advertisement for this master's course, and they had this requirement for undergraduate, and these are the modules that you need to cover, etc., etc., etc. And I in my ignorance went like, hey, you know what? I passed these by self-studying, the same syllabus basically, and I have 2 years of experience. So why shouldn't I be eligible? So what if I don't have an undergraduate? So I wrote them an email. And I got a reply back saying, hey, we'll have a conversation. And what I thought it was just a call back. I didn't realize it was the dean interviewing me.
Wow.
And I was just like, hey, yeah, dude, what's up? So I spoke to them, and, I just made the point, hey, this is what you guys require to be done in your undergraduate. Yeah. I've already done it through self-study and passed UK's Institute of Actuarial exams. So this is a recognized body. And I have 2 years of work experience, which is more than any undergraduate student would have. So you should consider me. And they said, fine, we'll make an exception. We'll consider you. Come on board.
Wow.
So it just got into masters, which is good, because that was a very enhancing experience as well.
How was that? Was it 2 years?
The master was a year.
Was a year.
Yeah.
What did you learn in that 1 year?
What did I learn?
Do you remember?
There was a massive. What I remember is the first day I went into school again. I was sat there in the classroom, and that was a novelty. Right. After 2 years, when you've been working at a consultancy and doing all the office work 9 to 5, to be sat back with fellow students, with the lecturer, at the top of the class, and that itself was a novelty. But I think what it really was, for the first time being out of Pakistan, you're in a classroom with kids all around the world.
Yeah, right.
And that experience, that cultural learning, awesome. And what you learn from that, I think that itself was very valuable.
Joining us this morning on the encounter, Shoaib Javed Hussain Saab, Chairman State Life Insurance. Your calls will take next 021-3452-1596. Lots to get through. We will also talk about insurance. In fact, getting some of your questions right now on our WhatsApp, and also still sort of touch on the current economic situation and what's going on behind the scenes. What we're going to do is head to a quick break and be back straight after. Joining us this morning, Chairman State Life Insurance, Mr. Shoaib Javed Hussain Saab joins us. Now, I mentioned earlier on, you said you've been in Pakistan for about a year and a half because you were working abroad. I think Hong Kong was the last place where you were. How did you land this job? Yeah, no, bilkul sahi baat hai. Listen, it was a very fascinating process because, of course, like I said, I was interested in coming back, and I had sent feelers out, especially my parents and all are in Karachi, and when you're away for about 20 odd years, then they age and you want to come back and spend some good years with them. So I had the feelers out to come out and to come back if anything good, a good opportunity comes up. Right. And the most interesting thing was that a friend of mine, he sent me a WhatsApp picture of a newspaper advertisement of the State Life role and said, listen, they've been looking to recruit for a while, would you be interested in it? And it was like chairperson?
Chairman, vacancy, really? Here's the requirements, and send your details and whatever CV to the MOC, the Ministry of Commerce website, email address. I said, sure, why not? I'll throw my name in the hat, let's see what happens, not taking it too seriously. So I did, and because it was COVID during that time, so you couldn't travel back and forth, so there were no face-to-face interviews. It was all 2 or 3 interview sessions held on Zoom. You had Razak Daud Saab heading the panel then, and you had some government and private industry people on that panel. And they were very thorough, which is what I really enjoyed. It was all about strategy. How do you turn around this giant? How do you grow it? And that process itself gave me confidence They're looking for somebody on merit. They're asking the right questions about the industry, about the company. And after 2-3 rounds, got lucky enough for them to say, hey, we want you on board. Would you actually come join? And that was a pleasant surprise, and here we are.
So from the first interview, not even the ad, but the first Zoom sort of meeting, what was the timeline?
It was long. I think the ad would have been around August. First interview probably around October. Oof. And then a few more rounds, and then in March 21, I actually took over.
So what? And that's. Where did you get the patience? and what? Because this is the thing, right? You this is great for any sort of young graduates listening. You apply for a job, and you're like, okay, it's been a week. They haven't got back to me. They don't want me. And it's been a month, and you're like dying to follow up. What would your advice be? I mean, did you follow up 3 weeks later?
No, I did not. One of the things is, of course, because I was working and I had my job, and I was the group global director for strategy and just for AIA, and AIA is the largest pan-Asian group. So that was keeping me rather busy. So I wasn't following it up, but I wasn't a graduate at the time. I'd gone through this process a few times, and these things take time. So it was about wait and see. And like I said, because I just thought there'd be so many other people applying for it, and it's a big role. Let's see if it goes to the next stage and all. There was a bit of impatience. But listen, who will you email? Not the Ministry of Commerce, right? You're never going to.
I'm just following up on our.
You and I spoke. So no, nothing like that happened. But once it got engaged, when the interview process after the first interview round, then they got quite proactive, because I think in the first round they must have had a number of applicants, and they whittled it down to I think 7 or 9, and then they were quite proactive in engaging with you. After the second one, I remember they even called and asked specific things about what's your ambition, why do you want to come back, and because this is a state organization and the checks and everything. So the process was ticking along. But you have to have patience, because you got to remember they have a lot of other things to do as well.
It's not just you. So enter insurance, and now you come in, and the general populace and their perception of insurance is not repulsive, but it's like I don't know what this is, and to consider it as perhaps a mode of investment isn't really something that they're talking about. So tell us about the growth of insurance in Pakistan. And is it growing, and is the perception changing?
So, talking about the industry in 2021, I believe the life insurance industry grew by around about 25%. The excellent part in that number is state life on its own grew about 33%, so it outperformed the entire industry as a whole. So there is growth there. Now here's the interesting thing. I'm getting a little technical over here. You see, there's this thing called penetration rate, which is insurance premiums over gross domestic product. What it really measures is how much the insurance industry is contributing to the economy of the country. So, if I put it simply, what it is in the world over, the average would be the insurance industry contributes about 4 to 4.5% to a country's economy. In developed countries, you'll have about 10 to 12%. I think India, Malaysia, Indonesia would be around 4.5%. Pakistan is less than 1%.
Wow.
So life and general insurance combined is about 0.9% as of year in 21. What that shows is you have ability to grow 5 times more just to come to the world average. So the growth opportunity is huge. And the industry should grow. I don't think there's any between State Life being a public organization and you have a vibrant private insurance industry as well. I really don't see there as much of a competition between the two, because I think the growth opportunity is a lot more, and that's where the focus should be. The industry as a whole should grow. Now, coming back to what insurance is, and you're absolutely right. It's not an investment. The key thing about insurance is protection and saving. On a micro level, say individual level, if you talk about the individual, a lot of people think about it in the ways of, I'm going to put money in, and 10 years down the line, it should have grown at 10% per annum or 20% per annum. But the real key about insurance is having differentiated products, so they effectively become a partner to your life journey. And if I mark it out for you, the way I see it, imagine a freelancer. You're talking about graduates and young kids. a freelancer who's at home working on his laptop and doing a tech job for a company abroad or domestic. Now, when he's 2021, his needs are very different.
Correct.
He would be working as his horizon is 1 year, 2 years maximum. His main concern is I rely on my phones or on my iPad or tablets or most importantly my laptop, because that's where I'm generating my income from. Those are his tools. So I've spoken to a lot of freelancers and all, and they say, we don't even know after 2 years will I be able to, if my computer breaks down, will I have the money to get a new machinery and stuff. So protecting gadgets, ensuring them something breaks down, we have a replacement. It's as small as that. Now take that same person's journey, goes down a few years down the line, mid-20s to late 20s, now he's thinking about getting married. Does he have, now marriage in Pakistan is not a cheap affair.
No.
So does he have enough saved up? So like State Life has these marriage plans and all of that, so that when you come to a certain life decision, the company will pay you out. So it's not just saving; it pays out for even a celebration. Now you have a partner to fund into the big the large decisions of your life. But now the chap's going into, he's having kids, protection for those kids, health for himself, his partner, his children. But if the children go to university, does he have enough money saved up to pay for their education and all? He may want to save up something so that by the time he's 40 or 50, he has enough to build a home. That's where State Life's endowment policy is really good on that. And then if you retire, do you have a pension coming in to sustain the lifestyle? So it's about the different points in a person's journey, and having that partner along that protects and guides you, so that, and the best thing is, once you've got that protection, then you can take those decisions with courage, your life decisions with a lot more confidence. And I think that's the real role of insurance.
There's a question that came earlier from Azim about the endowment plan. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I'm trying to just get the question, but can you tell us about the endowment plan?
So the endowment plan that State Life really has, so the State Life's traditional endowment plan that has existed has been the best-selling one in the market has been a 20-year thing that you save for 20 years and you pay premium for 20 years. And then should anything unforeseen event happen in middle, State Life pays out. And if you stay till maturity, the good thing about State Life products are they give you a profit bonus every year, so that accumulated returns are there for you should you survive after 20 years.
So I just got the question up now. Please ask the criteria for the 7 installment endowment plan.
So now what we've done there last year is that because it was State Life's 50th year of 1972 to 2022, we have further improved our traditional endowment plan, and we called it the golden endowment because it's a golden year. And what we've done over here is, instead of a 20-year paying term, it's shortened to 7 years. However, your protection remains for 20 years.
Okay.
And the criteria is very simple. From age 20 to 55, you can buy it, and nothing special about it. You don't need to be qualified for anything special compared to any other plan. But the best thing is the returns for the policyholders improve. So technically, being an actuary, I was also part of redesigning this plan. And basically, it's a 25% added benefit to the policyholder. So if you're paying the same amount of premiums that you would have paid for 20 years, over 20 years, you paid for 7 years, your end benefit will increase by nearly 25%.
Okay. Or
you can have the same benefit by paying 25% less compared to the 20-year paying premium endowment product. So it's an improved product for our customers out there.
Just getting some questions coming through now. So which sectors should people invest in according to the current scenario?
Which sectors?
That's what it says, yeah.
You see, excellent question. In Pakistan, you always have real estate. And a lot of people go into that as a stable investment sector, and there's a lot of benefits out of it. There's a lot more I think the capital markets are trying to do and should be doing to give alternative investment horizons to individuals. So I think that's something to keep an eye on, because I know people behind the scenes are really working to come up with improved and better capital solutions for the wider market. And similarly, I think with real estate, with the REITs coming up, so you don't need to necessarily have crores of rupees to buy an entire plot of land, you can contribute to a REIT fund and get those returns on an individual basis as well. And then, of course, if you look at insurance, I would still say that even though it's not an investment product, I would never push insurance as an investment product. The endowment product that we were just talking about, the golden endowment, as a 20-year savings product, and because profit bonuses are added each year. So if you look at the 10-year horizon, or the 20-year horizon, then your returns are generally outperform from what the market returns would be over the 20-year horizon. So I think a savings product with protection added on is a good option as well in these uncertain times.
What we're going to do is head to a quick break. More questions coming up straight after. It is Beatles with Good Morning at Shoaib's request. Rolling Stones, Beatles, who else?
The Who, Led Zeppelin.
We want to get to some of the questions. I believe we've got a caller who's waiting. Also, we'll get to the call in just a bit. But in the current economic scenario, how do insurance companies get profits against their investments?
You see, that's a fantastic question, and I think it goes back to exactly what you said, Khalid, earlier. Insurance is not about investments.
Right.
It's about generating profits from better pricing, from better constructing the product. So the key thing I'm trying to highlight is insurance companies will never get profit by investing the premium into stock markets and all of that. That's not the game. Insurance companies, as an investor, they're long-term investors. They invest into mostly government-issued bonds. So State Life, 80% of our investments are in government-issued bonds. So we are the real debt provider or the liquidity provider to the government of Pakistan. So that's where our main focus is. The reason is that our focus is not necessarily on returning increased investment returns to the policyholder, but to protect them, and more importantly, to ensure that if you really think about what is insurance is a promise. You were saying you have a policy, a state life policy.
State life, actually,
yeah. So now, if you think about it, is when you took that policy, you had a certain idea in your mind that this is where it might get used. So
for me, it was my child's education.
There you go. And that's a fantastic example, right? You're saying your daughter was 3 years old when you bought it. So now think about it. When your child is of age to go to university, the promise State Life has made you is that we will put the money up once the policy matures and it's time for your child to go for education, and you have a windfall money coming in to pay for those fees. So our focus is to meet that promise, and it's 20 years down the line, 15 years down the line. So as far as investment, and then how do we generate profits ourselves, which we then pay back to the policyholder? It is through improved products, ensuring our administration and services are efficient. And then when we look at what improved products really do, is then we generate insurance profits rather than investment profits. So insurance profits meaning that the value for the customer, the product itself, is the experience is as such that it's generating profit for us, which then we can share back with the policyholders.
Kurzalani, a young student, we've got many other young students listening in right now, graduates. What is your advice to them? Take home advice. We'd love for you to just sort of enlighten. I'm a student. I'm about to graduate. There is an economic crisis. We're hyperinflated. I'm looking for a job. I wouldn't mind escaping, going someplace else. What advice would you give that graduate today if he or she were in front of you?
First and foremost, let's start with real examples. You've got your host or in the morning over here, and myself. We both come back to Pakistan. The host over here, he was also in Australia, and he chose to come back, and I've also chose to come back. So one message is there's a lot of opportunity in Pakistan. Don't be disheartened. I know there's a whole lot of things, like you just said. How do I escape? There's an opportunity here. It might be a heavy grind, but do it. One thing that I always say, I think we were playing Beatles just now, so John Lennon said in one of his songs, there are no problems, only solutions. And I think that positivity is very important, especially, yes, we accept that these are hard times, these are uncertain times, but positivity can take you a long way. And if you just, instead of looking at, the grass is always greener on the other side, but that doesn't mean it's actually that. So pay focus on what you have, what is around you. There are opportunities, make the most out of them, and if you approach them in a positive mind frame and a bit of courage, the word for the hour, they will only expand, and the doors, even more doors will continue to open. I think that's the thing. If I look back at my journey over the past 20 years, yes, the uncertainty was there. There's always nervousness. But I think one thing that happens is if you keep working at something, multiple opportunities open up to you. So don't be disheartened with where you are right now. Have your focus, and you will be surprised 2 years, 3 years down the line how things actually start to ease up, as long as you're focused on a positive outcome.
Janab Shoaib Javed Hussain Saab, Chairman State Life Insurance, on the encounter. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I know you've got a hectic schedule and given us so much time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining me this week. We'll catch you Monday morning. Have a great weekend. May your news be good news.